Egypt was once the richest and most advanced country in the world, the land of the pyramids, gold, and gods. While Europe, around 3000 BC, still needed 1,000 years to discover writing and math, people along the Nile were already building things that leave today's engineers speechless.
Yeah, sure. We could build that too, if we had, say, 30 giants and a couple of aliens to help out.
Today, Egypt is still #1 in the world for wait, what? Oh, right, dates. Date production.
Well, better than nothing, right?
Sounds sweet, but the reality is actually pretty bitter. A third of the population lives in poverty, prices are exploding, laws exist, but are rarely followed, and innovation as rare as rain in the desert.
What was the secret behind that incredible rise? And why did it all fall apart again?
To find out, we have to travel way back, 8,000 years, to the moment it all began, the birth of Egypt. 6000 BC, North Africa was a paradise. Grass, lakes, animals, simply divine.
Raw, dude, you just roasted 5 animals again. Stop it right now.
You dumb cow. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Oh, really? Then go ahead and do your weather without me.
Whether that conversation really happened is not exactly proven, but what is certain is that soon after, North Africa began to dry out. What was once green meadows and sparkling lakes slowly turned into sand, dust, and despair. People had to find a new place, somewhere life was still possible. And they found it, the Nile.
Water that doesn't taste like death, and it just keeps coming?
River, fish, water. Are we staying?
Dibs on this spot forever.
The Nile was like a free delivery service. Once a year, it flooded, covered the land, and left behind rich, fertile soil. But that wasn't all. The desert to the west and the Mediterranean to the north made sure no one just dropped by to cause trouble. So the people stayed. They became farmers, planted grain, raised livestock, and enjoyed the luxury of not having to panic about starving every single day. But what happens when more and more people start living in one place? Exactly, power trips. At first, those who understood the rhythm of the river made the decisions. Whoever knew when the Nile would rise had more food. More food meant power, and power meant...
Someone is about to get a shiny golden hat.
Soon, just a few people controlled entire villages, until one day, village met village.
We have grain, trade, and peace. We have warriors and ambitions.
With that, peace was history. Villages swallowed villages, kingdoms devoured other kingdoms, and in the end, only 2 were left, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Around 3100 BC, King Narmer, the leader of Upper Egypt, said,
And I'm the biggest fish in the pond.
He united the entire land, founded the first great centralized state of human history in Memphis, and laid the foundation for more than 3,000 years of high civilization. The Old Kingdom was born.
And then Egypt's rapid rise began?
Yeah, pretty much. Conquering a country is hard, but ruling an entire one without WhatsApp groups? That's true art. And that art of ruling was something the ancient Egyptians mastered first. They were the first to unite all the resources of an entire country, and with that, they were thousands of years ahead of their time.
What was their secret recipe for ruling a whole nation long before anyone else managed to do it?
They perfected 5 strategies that still work frighteningly well today. Strategy 1, control and scarce what people need to survive. The Nile was everything: water, food, life. The pharaohs built reservoirs, canals, and dams, and that meant they decided who got water during the dry seasons.
Your Majesty, why does my neighbor get so much water and I get practically none?
Well, then you should simply get in line from now on. Maybe then the water will flow again too.
Strategy 2. Make debt measurable. Scribes recorded everything, every harvest, every cow, every sack of grain. Bureaucracy was born.
You still owe us 3 sacks of wheat.
And why do I owe you that?
So we can buy more wine for our god festivals.
Strategy 3. Become divine. Probably the most effective move of them all. The kings declared themselves god kings, pharaohs, bridges between heaven and earth. Opposing something done in the name of the gods wasn't just rebellion, it was blasphemy. And really, who'd want to risk the wrath of the gods? Strategy 4. Keep people busy. When the Nile flooded and there was nothing to do on the fields, the pharaohs ordered massive construction projects. Payment was in food and beer. That way, no one had time to think about revolution. Strategy 5. build for eternity. The pyramids weren't just tombs, they were propaganda made of stone, gigantic monuments that shouted, "Our rulers are the greatest." If you spend your whole life stacking stones for someone who claims to be divine, you start to believe it.
Yeah, this dude really must be a badass legend.
For 900 years, everything ran smoothly. But around 2200 BC, the Nile failed to flood. The harvests collapsed. The pharaohs lost touch with reality.
Throw more gold into the Nile, then it will flow again.
The land broke apart into small kingdoms once more. The first intermediate period had begun. Hunger, trade collapse, and chaos spread across the land, and the idea of the divine pharaoh began to crumble. Until one day, a young man stepped onto the stage, Mentuhotep II. Piece by piece, he took the entire country back and ended the great confusion that marked the beginning of the Middle Kingdom. A new era of stability, order, and bureaucracy. But this time, with style.
I am no distant god. I am your protector. A human king. I like that better than these aloof demigods.
The government became more efficient, taxes fairer, and the irrigation systems got a major upgrade. Poets wrote hymns, craftsmen built statues, and for a moment, Egypt actually worked. The Golden Age under Mentuhotep and his successors showed the true strength of ancient Egypt. A system perfectly tuned to be led by a single strong hand. As long as a powerful pharaoh ruled and the Nile didn't decide to take a vacation, the country thrived. Well, stability and Egypt never really got along for long. Around 1750 BC, Egypt got visitors from Asia, but not the nice kind with cameras and souvenirs. No, this was a rather unpleasant tour group, the Hyksos.
Well, good morning. And you are?
We are just some guys from Canaan who want to grab your wealth with their weapon advantage.
They arrived with horses, chariots, and shiny bronze weapons, technologically a whole league ahead. Not through one great attack, but step by step, the Hyksos gained influence. Cities yielded and northern Egypt slipped under their control. Thus began the Second Intermediate Period. In the north, the Hyksos ruled. In the south, around Thebes, the Egyptians held on, bruised, but far from broken.
Okay guys, heads up. There's this saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Let's just play defeated and learn everything they know.
And that's exactly what they did. They studied the Hyksos closely, their tactics, their weapons, their chariots, and improved on all of it. 200 years later, around 1550 BC, under Pharaoh Ahmose I, the Egyptians struck back, using the Hyksos' own weapons against them, and completely wiped them out. Egypt was reclaimed. The Second Intermediate Period ended and the New Kingdom began, an era when Egypt became a superpower. Ironically, it was also the moment when Egypt began to destroy itself.
Wait, what's the reason behind that?
Take a nation hardened by struggle, add the stolen military tech of the Hyksos, and mix it all with overflowing grain stores. What you get is an empire on steroids. Thutmose I through the III conquered everything, from Nubia to Syria to Palestine. Egypt looked unstoppable, but the bigger the empire, the harder it is to hold together. The first seed of decline had been planted, overreach. Under Hatshepsut, though, peace prevailed.
Okay, boys, enough fighting. Time to make this empire Instagram-worthy.
She sent expeditions to Punt, brought back gold, incense, and exotic goods, and built temples so perfectly aligned they looked like they were drawn with a laser ruler, a queen with serious style. But then came Akhenaten. He planted the most dangerous seed of them all. The priests of Amun kept getting richer and more powerful, so Akhenaten said,
All right, executive decision. You're all fired. And all your gods as well. Aton, you're the sole god now. Don't mess it up.
Well-intentioned, but with fatal consequences. The unity of Egypt only worked as long as a pharaoh ruled who was legitimized by the gods. Akhenaten kicked the gods out, and with them, the very foundation of the system. Furthermore, the action also reminded every single priest to seize power over the land. After Akhenaten's death, the young Tutankhamun had to undo everything.
Listen, boy, you do what we say, or we'll make sure you do.
Okay.
Seti I and Ramses II still won battles and built gigantic monuments all across the land. But under Ramses III, when the Sea Peoples attacked, it became clear that Egypt's foundation were already broken. An overstretched empire devouring its own resources, priests pulling strings behind the scenes, and a population losing faith in their divine rulers. By 1070 BC, Egypt fell apart again, but this time really badly. Welcome to the Third Intermediate Period. Pharaoh Mendes fought for power from the north against the priests of Amun in Thebes, and while the two sides tore each other apart, everyone else showed up to grab a piece of the buffet. Libyans from the west were the first to arrive. 730 BC, the Kushites from Nubia seized control of Egypt, and just 60 years later, the Assyrians stormed in, plundered the land, and turned Egypt into a vassal state. But then the Assyrians ran into trouble themselves. An Egyptian named Psammetichus took his chance. In 664 BC, he reunited the country under Egyptian rule once again. The late period had begun. Psammetichus and his successors tried to modernize Egypt, to bring back the glory days. But by 525 BC, the dream was over. The Persian king Cambyses II invaded and turned Egypt into a Persian province.
Nice river. I'll take it.
200 years later, a guy with massive daddy issues came along. Alexander the Great.
Here, just take the land. The Persians are annoying anyway. Dad, look! Added another country to the collection.
He founded Alexandria, the ultimate ancient hipster hotspot, with mega harbor, a massive library, and a lighthouse flex that even made the pyramids insecure. When Alexander died far too young, his generals divided his empire, and Egypt went to the Ptolemies, a dynasty of Greek pharaohs pretending to be more Egyptian than the Sphinx. Among them was Cleopatra VII, young, clever, and fluent in more languages than Netflix has subtitles. When her brother and his advisors tried to get rid of her, she escaped and came up with the ultimate Caesar master plan. It worked perfectly. Caesar made sure she stayed the pharaoh of Egypt, and in return, he got grain, influence over the country, and a few bonus benefits. A classic win-win. But a few years later, Caesar was taken out.
Shit, I need a plan B. Oh, well, hello. Who's this handsome man?
Cleo quickly set her sights on one of Rome's new power players, Mark Antony, and had 3 children with him. But Rome had enough. Octavian didn't want to share power with Antony anymore. In 31 BC, at Actium, 2 great fleets faced off. 250 heavy ships from Cleopatra and Antony against about 400 smaller, faster ships from Octavian. In the chaos of battle, Cleopatra panicked. She fled. Antony chased after her. And in that moment it was clear. It was over. Octavian won. Rome was his. Egypt became Roman. Cleopatra and Antony chose death, and with them ended the age of the pharaohs. About 430 years later, in 395 AD, Rome itself collapsed, and Egypt passed to the Byzantine Empire. Alexandria turned into the influencer hub of the early church. Pharaoh posts got deleted. Christianity was the only content allowed now. Then, in 641 AD, there was a knock at the door.
Hey, we'd like to rule you now.
So how much tax would you want?
Lower.
Sounds fine. Just tell me where to sign.
Egypt joined the Islamic world almost without resistance, and Cairo rose as the new capital, a medieval metropolis where science, culture, and learning all shone brighter than ever. From 1250 to 1517, Egypt was taken over by elite slave soldiers of the Arabs, the Mamluks.
Hang on a minute. We're the best warriors here. Why are we taking orders from anyone?
They successfully crushed the Crusaders and even showed the mighty Mongols who was the boss in Egypt. By now, Egypt had seen it all. Pharaonic Egypt, Greek Egypt, Roman Egypt, Christian Egypt, Arab Egypt, and now Slave King Egypt. Who's left? In 1517, the Ottomans knocked on the door.
Hi there. We'd like to take over now.
Good luck with that. We have seriously strong warriors, the Mamluks.
Thing is, we already have artillery and firearms.
Fine. Come in, but behave yourselves.
The Mamluks stayed on as administrators, but the Turks were now the new bosses. Fast forward 250 years, and along came a short, overly ambitious Frenchman. While Napoleon was busy fighting the British and the Mamluks, his nerds were measuring, painting, and documenting pretty much everything that didn't run away fast enough. Among their finds was the Rosetta Stone, a slab inscribed with the same text in 3 languages. For the first time since antiquity, it became possible to finally read and translate the writings of the pharaohs. The British started getting seriously on Napoleon's nerves, so he bailed pretty quickly. After him, in 1805, a new boss rose from the Ottoman ranks, Muhammad Ali. No, not the boxer, but almost as dangerous.
Egypt desperately needs an update.
He built new schools, a modern army, a fresh economy, and suddenly Egypt was a power player again. But then came the big idea. The Suez Canal opened in 1869. It was a mega shortcut for ships heading to India. Europe went absolutely nuts with excitement. But there was one problem. The canal was expensive. Very expensive. Egypt sank deep into debt, owing France and Britain up to its eyeballs. The Europeans said,
"You owe us a fortune. There's only one solution. We take over your government to clean up your mess."
So they stepped in, took over the finances, and the locals were boiling with anger. By 1882, everything exploded in a military revolt, and Britain said,
"We need to stop this chaos for, your safety."
They marched in, restored order, and of course stayed right there. Not as friendly guests, but as the new bosses. Egypt became a British protectorate, officially still Ottoman, but in reality London was calling the shots. After World War II, the entire British Empire started to crumble. Everywhere, people wanted independence, and Egypt was no exception. In 1952, the Egyptians had enough. A group of young officers overthrew the king. Monarchy out, republic in. Gamal Abdel Nasser took the wheel. He was the man who finally kicked the British out for good and showed the world Egypt is finally independent again.
So Egypt's been independent since 1952, for the first time in roughly 2,500 years, without foreign rule.
Right.
No wonder they're still struggling to get the country back on its feet.
As you've seen, Egypt's often managed to bounce back from crisis. Who knows? Maybe this'll be the greatest comeback yet, after centuries under foreign rule. Only this time, it won't be about the gods saving them. It'll be about believing in themselves, in a strong, independent Egypt.